And I'm going to go ahead and record this. I know we had about 65 people register. So either people will be joining, or at this point, they probably know that I'm going to record and share the video the next day. So I just wanted to say thank you. Here we go. I have the slide deck in the chat box, and I will continue to share that as we go throughout tonight's session. So tonight, we are focusing on AI literacy. And out of everything, AI literacy is one of the most important aspects of using AI. And so I'm going to share some information about AI literacy and tell you what you kind of need to know about that. Again, I put the slide deck in the chat box, and I will continue to do that. I know many of you already. My name is Karen Leonard, and I'm the Program Director of AI and Digital Learning. The best way to get in touch with me is through email, especially over the next 2 weeks. I'm out and traveling and presenting across the state. So I'm glad you could join me tonight. By the time we finish with this session, tonight we're really going to explore critical literacy and that you and your students, it's not just for their future careers, but for navigating their daily lives right now. By the end of this presentation, you'll understand what AI literacy is. And I've still got some people that are coming in. Let's see, there we go. Admit. You're going to understand what AI literacy is, why it's urgent right now for your students to learn about, and how you can start implementing it tomorrow. I'll provide you resources and guidance as we go. So, our context. This is our current reality. And again, I'm going to put the slide deck in here. You are always welcome to take bits and pieces if you want to recreate presentations for your schools and districts. So here's where we are right now. 3 facts that should really concern you at this point. Your students are already using AI daily, with or without your guidance. About 74% of teens believe that AI will significantly impact their careers. And most educators, unfortunately, feel very unprepared to guide them through this transition to using and being exposed to AI constantly. So, the question is right now, it's not whether AI will affect education. The question is whether we will help students navigate it responsibly, or will we just carry on as we have for years and not prepare our students? And let's see, there we go. So, where educators stand right now, I'm going to share some data from Teach AI, which is an international organization. Many of our states, including Oklahoma, are part of Teach AI, and many countries around the world. And it's been really great to hear how other areas are teaching AI and interacting with AI at the K-12 level. It's been a long day. I'm so sorry. So right now, about 67% of teachers report using AI tools without them really realizing they're using them. They might be like, I am never going to use an AI tool, but they're using search engines, they're following those recommendations. Only about 23% feel prepared to guide students about AI. And I'm kind of thinking that that statistic still might be a little high here in Oklahoma. Biggest worry, 78% worry about student academic integrity. Great concern. They're concerned about privacy and data security. They fear a widening digital divide, and that's a pretty big part here in Oklahoma. And they worry about student overdependence on AI. So, first of all, if you're here tonight, I hope that you are here to learn. The good news is our students need educators like you who think critically about technology, and they don't have to be tech experts. We're talking teachers in the classroom. What matters most to your students is your wisdom about learning and ethics and human development, because we need to be sure that all of our instruction is centered in ethical use of AI. So, we're going to be able to address these concerns effectively, but we first need to take a step back and think about literacy itself. Literacy has never been static. It does constantly evolve with our society's needs. So, when you're thinking of the literacy timeline, each generation of students needed new literacies to succeed. AI literacy is just this generation's essential skill. Think about your own education. You learn to read books, but your students also need to learn to read algorithms. You learned how to write essays, but our students now will need to know how to collaborate with AI. This isn't just about replacing traditional literacy, it's about expanding it. And I know that when I was in school myself, I was back in the era of computer literacy. We thought it was really important to ensure that all students knew how to use word processing and email, and those skills are still necessary, as are all of the previous literacies: reading, listening to radio, evaluating what we see on TV. But now our students really need to know how to evaluate and use AI, because many times, again, like educators, our students will experience AI possibly without realizing it, and we need to prepare them for that. So I asked ChatGPT what it would say about AI literacy, or about literacy in general. I want you to notice it said, literacy education is a process of teaching people to read and write so they can function in society. It's also a lifelong process of learning and improving reading, writing, and numeracy skills. And it includes the ability to use language to communicate, acquire, and construct meaning. So I thought that that was very interesting, because it doesn't mention many of the other components related to AI literacy. It doesn't mention the critical evaluation of sources. It doesn't question the reliability of what we're reading. It's not addressing any of the bias in information, and it's not mentioning that we need to critically think about AI itself. And I think what's really ironic about that is AI can't tell us how to think critically about AI. That's our job as humans and as educators. So we're going to build on that foundation to create a better understanding of AI literacy. We're not replacing critical thinking. In fact, we're extending it. What does this matter? Just like traditional literacy helps students navigate text, AI literacy helps them navigate an AI-powered world. They need to be able to understand, evaluate, and effectively use AI while recognizing its impact on society. How it works, what it can and can't do. Is the output reliable? Is it biased? Is it appropriate? When should I use AI and when shouldn't I use AI? And how does the use of AI affect others and society? So, this is a global perspective, but I think for us to really understand how this impacts our students, we really need to look at, why does this matter for Oklahoma? Well, we know that back in September of 2024, Governor Stitt created an AI task force. And one of the quotes from that task force is, all students need future ready skills. Okay. Well, unfortunately, whether you like it or not, AI literacy is now a future ready skill. It's not something that's just nice to have, it's essential that our students have this. And We're not asking you to figure out this all alone because we already do have Oklahoma guidance frameworks created for you. So I'm going to look at challenges specific to Oklahoma. First of all, we have the geographic reality. I mean, rural schools have limited access to tech and internet in some places still. Our students in Tuttle or Cimarron deserve to learn those same AI skills that maybe students in Edmond have. And let's think about the economic impact of AI here in Oklahoma. I mean, Devon Energy is using AI for exploration in oil. Paycom is already integrating AI in its HR resources and platforms. OSU is using AI to perform research on agriculture, and Air Force Base is advancing AI in defense. So these are skills that whether students go to college, go to a 2 year college, or go straight into the workforce from high school, they need to have this knowledge. So, based upon that, how can we tell if what we're teaching our students is preparing them for the future? This isn't really preparing them for Silicon Valley. This is just for this. We've got a growing tech industry. And even traditional industries, like I said, agriculture, energy, healthcare, it's all being transformed by HI. So we need to ensure that our students are future ready and they're able to compete nationally and globally. We want to make sure that they're ethical digital citizens and that they're using AI responsibly. They need to be innovation ready to support Oklahoma's growing economic fields. They need to be critical thinkers who can evaluate AI's outputs and make informed decisions. And they need to be confident creators who can collaborate with AI while maintaining their authentic voice. Because we always have to remember that using AI is just a tool and it has to be um, in the middle of a human loop. AI tools do not know what to do on their own. It takes a human telling that tool what to do. The AI tool thinks and processes and generates something. And if we are just taking that output and using it on its own, that's not ethical use of AI. We need to maintain our authentic voice. AI can augment and extend our thinking, but it still needs to be us. So, why does all this really make sense right now? Like I said earlier, our students are already experimenting with AI. They, I think in their hearts, they probably know that using AI to do their homework is cheating. But you know what? We've never been in this environment before. And this is one where we have to teach and guide our students. They have to see us as ethical AI users modeling that use so that they can see that, we don't use it all the time. We use it for specific tasks. And AI is shaping the world we teach in. Um, and if we wait, that just means our students are falling even more behind. Our students in Oklahoma. So, right now, we have to be building that proactive guidance. So, our current situation is, like I said, they're not waiting for us. And again, a lot of this data is from Teach AI. 49% of students struggle to evaluate AI's shortfalls. They accept what they see or receive from the AI output, and many of them are having a difficult time looking for validity and bias and authenticity. Students are using ChatGPT for homework without understanding the bias. Um, we know that TikTok algorithms influence what they think is normal, and every person's algorithm is different. College applications are being written and completed, those essays, with AI, but they're not disclosing it. And boy, would we want to see students unable to move forward in their education because they thought it was okay. We have to help them. And social media AI is shaping their world daily. They need the guidance now, and we can't put it off to 2, 3 years from now. So, one of the things we need to help our students understand is that every time they're online or on social media, every time they click, it leaves a trace, their digital footprint. And I don't think even many adults don't really think of this daily. These AI systems are recording what apps students use, any of us use, and for how long we're using it. And honestly, they're data banking all of those search queries, and every time we click on something, they're looking to see what videos we watch and when we stop watching, um, where we are when we use each app. It's tracking our location, who they interact with, and how they interact, and what they type, even if they don't send it. So this isn't just data that they're sharing, but it's training systems that are able to influence them. And I find that that's very intimidating, very scary. Many of our parents are not well suited or well versed in AI, and they're unable to support our students. So, we, unfortunately, it seems educators are often put in the role to wear many different hats, and this is definitely one of them. So, what actually is being collected? All student data trains AI systems. It produces what content they're going to see next, what products they're being advertised, what opportunities they're being shown, jobs, college, relationships, and unfortunately, how algorithms judge them in future applications. So before, I used to teach digital citizenship, and actually, I was able to track down so much information from Instagram on a family. I was able to determine a home address. I knew what style of car they had, their license plate, the children's names, what baseball teams they played on, and Girl Scout troops. But now, I mean, that was stuff that was visible. Right now, all of this data is not visible to us, but it is visible to these AI tools. So, what does this mean for our students? Again, every student, adult, user is unconsciously creating their digital identity. Their interests, their apparent bias, their strengths, their perceived vulnerabilities, their social connections and influences, and their predicted future behaviors. So, some critical thinking questions that we need to think ourselves and discuss with students. Um, do they understand what data they're sharing? Do we understand what data we're sharing? Um, can we recognize how AI is influencing our choices? And are they and we making informed decisions about their digital footprint? I've seen wonderful lessons where you ask a student, obviously, we can't do this now with no cell phones in the classroom, but maybe a homework assignment is to have them go through their apps and their settings and really analyze and read what they agree to when they install an app on their phone or when they're using an AI tool. I think it could be very eye opening. So, um, we need a systematic way to help students understand, evaluate, and thoughtfully engage with AI systems. So, I'm going to share a framework that has been developed. It is currently in draft, but it again was created by Teach AI. And what I liked about this is um, the authors are from all around the world, educators, professors, families, students, and anyone can comment and suggest changes to this framework. But I think that they've done a really thorough job of creating something that's robust. So first of all, this AI framework, um, it's based on AI literacy, and it's got three components that every student should know. There's knowledge, that information students need to know, the skills, what students need to be able to do, and the attitudes, how students need to approach AI. And again, this framework can work in all content areas and in all grades from K through 12. When we're talking AI literacy with our youngest students, we're not necessarily meaning they're not on a computer. It is teacher modeling and teacher discussions. And we can do many of the activities without even a computer, teacher or student. So first, I'm going to focus on knowledge. This is what students need to know about AI literacy. For our elementary students, they need to learn that AI tools function because really what they're doing is they're finding patterns. So, we can find patterns in our classroom and in our world, and then we can tell and model that to students that, sometimes I can set my email up so that if it's a spam email, something that I wasn't expecting, didn't sign up for, don't know the people, that can automatically be identified as spam. Those are things that we can just talk about. By middle school, we need to ensure that our students are learning that AI learns from data, but that data is not always correct, accurate, unbiased. And by the time they get to high school, they really need to have an understanding that AI can affect jobs, democracy, social justice. Boy, if you really dig into some of the studies on even the use of AI tools in HR departments to determine who receives interviews. I mean, it's happening whether we like it or not. And they need to know that AI is powerful, but it doesn't know everything. And it does reflect bias based upon the data it's trained on, and every AI tool is trained differently. AI can make decisions that affect real people's lives. And I think our students are so used to playing video games and, if something happens to someone and they get regenerated and continue on, that's a video game, but AI really can affect lives. And it is a tool created by humans, but it doesn't act human-like. It doesn't have emotions and empathy and, you know, ethical thinking. We also need to focus on the skills, what students need to be able to do. They need to be able to critically evaluate AI output. Is it accurate? Is it complete? Is it biased? They need to be able to collaborate, which is such a strange word when you're thinking of human collaborating with a digital tool. They need to collaborate effectively with digital tools. Sure, AI gave me this output, but how can I make that output better? It's not quite there. So, we're teaching them to continue prompting. It We need them to make ethical decisions about when and how to use AI. And again, we think they should know, but I mean, this is the generation where they've grown up with cell phones, texting all the time. We just need to pull them back in and say there are times it's okay and times it's not okay to use AI. And they really need to be able to recognize AI's influence on all of their digital experiences. And the great thing is, I want you to notice that those are all thinking skills. They're not technical skills. And many times people say, I think AI takes the critical thinking away from students. And I completely disagree because if you're using AI effectively, there's a lot of critical thinking that goes into that use. And then we also have attitudes, how students need to approach AI. They need to be taught curiosity about what are the possibilities, what are the limitations. I like to play with AI tools just to see what I can get it to do or say wrong. We don't want our students to model that way, but how is it limiting? Well, it's not going to show you emotional responses, but it can maybe help them learn other languages or learn about other cultures. The responsibility in AI use and sharing the outputs, empathy for how AI affects different communities, adaptability, humility about what they don't know and what AI doesn't know, and the confidence to question AI's output and make independent judgment. We're talking character education here, and that's what matters. So, AI, we need to look at the current impact on our society because understanding the current impact helps us teach more effectively about future implications. So, we know AI is already shaping lives. It's everywhere, but yet it's invisible. We can't see it, it's not tangible. Like I said, students, all of us interact with AI dozens of times a day and may not even realize it. And because of that, they need to know this information. Think in entertainment, oftentimes your choices aren't really yours because, in Netflix, you see because you watched creates those viewing bubbles and just kind of leads you to if you liked this. Spotify algorithms decide which new artists might pop up next within your viewing log. YouTube, it keeps you watching longer. Have you noticed that? Sometimes you're like, "Oh, my husband will sit down with YouTube and he'll just watch a couple videos and, 45 minutes have gone by because it's got that algorithm and knows what he's gonna like to watch." And then, we also see the commercials pop up on the side and they piqued his interest. TikTok algorithms determine cultural references and humor, and even our Oklahoma library system uses digital book recommendations based on AI. And the student impact really is that AI shapes their cultural knowledge, interests, and worldview. And social media, those students that are old enough to do social media, Instagram, it decides which friends' posts they'll watch. I'm sure we've even seen that in Facebook. How many times have you're like, I've got all these friends, but why do I see these same 5 friends post over and over and over? Snapchat determines what moments get highlighted. If you think about 1 year ago today, TikTok, again, influences a sense of what's normal or popular in our world. Discord, AI moderation affects online communities. And again, every interaction, every scroll, every click, every pause collects data. And so students need to understand that AI influences their social connections and many times their self perception. And information access. You know, Google, the search results are personalized based upon your profile. Educational videos are chosen by algorithm, not by quality. Wikipedia, even the most neutral information varies user by user. Students think that they're getting all of this objective information, but really they're getting personalized information based upon past views. And I think, all of us see that when we're looking, we're going toward election seasons, and that we tend to see advertisements and information based upon our past experiences will draw specific candidates' videos and information toward us. It's kind of scary to think it can really influence who we vote for based upon, I'm seeing more commercials for this one person. Why? Well, that's because of your algorithms. And this also is unfortunately the case in future opportunities. College applications and many colleges are being screened by AI tools. That can be great because think of the mass quantity of applications many universities get. If the data is, or if that AI tool is trained with the right data, it can help weed out some of the students that may not qualify for admission to that university, but went ahead and applied anyway. But what if it's given some strange instructions on what to select? I would feel probably more confident with a person going through papers one at applications or anything one at a time and looking to analyze that. But, you know, it's faster when we're using tools. Job applications, AI is reviewing resumes. Scholarship decisions are often based upon algorithms determining financial aid. Social credit, their online behavior can affect future opportunities. Again, we've talked digital footprint. It's so easy for us to look back and say, um, well, we've seen it recently. People post things on social media. Well, now, again, even if that post is deleted, that algorithm information is still there and it can come back to haunt people later on. And so, these raise some pretty serious ethical questions that students need to understand. So, some of the ethical challenges we have, talking about inconsistent algorithms and privacy concerns and job impacts and bias amplification and manipulation. How in the world do we prepare our students to navigate this complex landscape? Well, first of all, it comes back to critical thinking. And again, like I said, most people do not equate critical thinking and AI. Students need to engage in ethical discussions about AI impact. Now, parents may not have that understanding. So many times that comes back to us in the classroom. How can AI impact us? What can we do? We need to question all of the AI outputs and recommendations. I wonder why it's telling me I'd like this TV show or this movie. They need to understand their rights regarding data privacy. They need to recognize when they're being influenced by those algorithms, and they need to consider how their AI use affects others. It is like a chain reaction. And that's where AI literacy becomes very critical for digital citizenship. So, this framework, in addition to those three components, it does have four different domains. And these are systematic approaches to building AI literacy. And I really thought that this was a great way to view this. So, Teach AI says that there are four domains of AI literacy that all of us should be able to go through at different times: engaging with AI, creating with AI, managing AI, and designing AI. So I'm going to look at each of those a little more closely. Domain number one, engaging with AI. We want our students to become critical consumers. We want them to question accuracy, completeness, perspectives, benefits. What do other sources say about this information? And here's one thing that we can think in Oklahoma terms: eighth graders can fact check AI explanation on the Trail of Tears using primary sources from the Oklahoma Historical Society, and then discuss why AI's version emphasized specific aspects over others. That's pretty powerful. That's deeper than they might have gotten just reading that information. Domain two is creating with AI, where students are becoming those thoughtful collaborators who understand when AI can enhance or replace their thinking, and how do they maintain their own authentic voice when using AI, and how do we attribute AI, disclose the use, and become transparent, and the difference between AI inspiration, which is good, but AI plagiarism. And again, another Oklahoma example, think of our middle school students using AI art generators for creative writing prompts, and then reflecting on the originality, the attribution, and what makes their writing uniquely theirs. For domain three, it's managing with AI, and it's helping students become strategic decision makers that can decide when AI should and shouldn't be used, to understand the appropriate context for use, to balance the efficiency with deep learning, and recognize when human judgment is essential. An Oklahoma idea for that: high school students can use AI for initial data sorting in a climate science project, but humans enter, interpret the results and make conclusions about Oklahoma weather patterns. So they can use it to analyze all that, but then students are the ones interpreting those results. And the fourth domain is designing with AI, where students become ethical innovators. So think Bloom's taxonomy. This is up there where they're using and innovating with AI. They're exploring how AI systems are trained and built. They're understanding the societal impact and the potential harm that can be associated with the use of AI. And maybe they're finding ways to make that AI tool more impartial and fair. And they do have to consider the unintended consequences of AI systems. An example of this could be high schoolers examining the bias in facial recognition data sets, discovering the underrepresentation of diverse populations, and maybe how that can affect law enforcement uses. So some of these sound like kind of high level. So I'm going to take us through grade level concepts of how each of these might be implemented. So, what does AI literacy look like in action? We could have Sophia, a 10-year-old elementary student. Um, she may be using AI voice assistant for homework help, or maybe kids' YouTube recommendations. So she's probably in the first domain, the engaging, with basic questioning skills. And so hopefully, what we are through discussions, talking, and helping her understand is AI doesn't always understand what she really means when she's asking it questions, and that different sources might provide different answers. And it's okay to ask an AI tool, how do you know that? Um, and that some questions need human help, not just AI help. So then we can go on to June, maybe middle school, 13 years old. He might be using AI for art generators, creative writing assistance, and research help, which would put him in domains 1 and 2. And he's really critically evaluating and using ethical collaboration. And by going through these two domains, he's hopefully learning how to ask AI better questions to get better output, the importance of attribution when generating AI outputs, how to maintain originality while using AI for inspiration, and why bias in AI matters in terms of fairness. Um, Maybe at the ninth grade level, Omar might be using it for research assistance, homework help, college planning, social media. He's probably hitting domains 1, 2, and 3, and really more of a strategic decision maker. And if used effectively, Omar's probably learning about how AI assistants can help you versus hinder deep learning, how to use AI for using critical thinking skills, but it has to be used efficiently and effectively. The long term impact of AI use on his education and his career, and how AI could affect his future opportunities. And then we have Anika, a senior in high school getting ready to go to college. She might be using AI for college essays and career research, for complex project assistance and social media. She's doing all that. She's probably hitting all 4 domains. She's probably got a comprehensive understanding of AI and the ethical leadership in using AI. And I'm hoping that she's learning that AI systems are designed, how they're designed, and who's making those decisions, the social implications of widespread AI use, how to advocate for fair and inclusive AI systems, and how to be transparent about AI use in academic and professional contexts. So sometimes I think we're thinking too deep in how can we create these learning environments? But many times, students are already using these tools that can help build that AI literacy understanding, but they just need some context behind what they're doing and how that you know, implies in their life. So basically, each of those, we've got elementary level, we want to foster curiosity and basic questioning. Middle school, ethical collaboration and creative balance. High school, strategic decision making and deeper analysis. And in the senior and high school, leadership and systems thinking. And the thing is, each level builds upon the next one, and it adds the complexity as they grow and mature. So that whole AI essential framework put together with each of those levels and the knowledge and skills and attitudes can be used at different grade levels. Again, we're talking elementary pattern recognition, middle school prompt engineering, high school ethical debates on AI hiring or maybe criminal justice, and those are very easy ways we can implement that. And it can go across all subjects. We want to be able to integrate AI literacy just as to make it just like when we pick up our cell phone and look for text or something, it just becomes a natural instinct. So maybe when we're thinking math and statistics, here are some examples at the middle school level: data analysis, pattern recognition, ethical math, and comparisons. If you have not done any data um, analysis, you're missing a lot. There's so much that we can gain. And think about students collecting temperatures and rainfall amounts, or the pH in soil, and really analyzing that. They're going to be able to take learning just to a different level. For language arts, middle school through high school, we're talking source evaluation and literature analysis, comparing poetry analysis. How does an AI tool analyze poetry? Do you agree with it? Ask it to provide details from the poem that supports why it's creating this analysis. We can have ethical debates on AI and surveillance and autonomous weapons and privacy, using AI for inspiration for creative writing, or even just imagining and writing what AI's impact will be like on future society. In science, again, we've got data visualization, research applications, and like DA analysis and DNA analysis, climatic data, ethics integration, experimentation, environmental impact. There are so many ways. Even in social studies, democracy and misinformation, impact on elections, news, public opinion, historical analysis, global challenges in healthcare, education, multidisciplinary research, policy analysis. I put those ideas in there so that gives people at least ideas on how to move forward and how to use it. And like I said, I have the slide deck link in the chat. It will make a forced copy, but you can take these and use AI to expand. Even in arts, it is possible to use AI. We can analyze music to determine if it's human created or AI created. When is AI assistant necessary versus AI replacement? We can understand the copyright concerns with AI generated melodies. And I just read today that Suno, which is a very interesting music relation tool or music creation tool, was just sued by some company because they were using pre-recorded popular music to create some of the training data for this music creation tool, and create original music with AI assistance, but still maintaining that artistic voice. And even with visual arts, you can create AI assisted artwork and then reflect on authentic artistic expression. You can examine the bias in AI generated art, explore fundamental questions. What a great discussion. What makes art authentic? And discuss the ownership and attribution of an AI assisted creative work. So, I've shared a lot of information, and you're like, where in the world do we start? What works? We have to start where our students are. We have to acknowledge the fact that they are using AI. And, we hope that they're going to be truthful and we're not going to judge. We have to know where they are so that we can know how to help them set those guardrails. Make real world connections of AI use and hands on learning. And when I'm talking student hand-on learning, I'm talking age appropriate. We know many of the AI tools, like ChatGPT or Perplexity or Claude, they do have age restrictions that are, 18 and older. So we can find tools that they can still experiment with that are age appropriate. Ethical reflections on AI. We can have discussions. Collaborative learning. Students can teach each other how to use these tools, and I love this, the reiterative approach or the iterative approach. We understand that the first output of that AI tool is not the final. Question it, ask it what it's missing. I often take presentations or emails and put it in there and say, if you were reading this email, what questions might you have that I haven't responded to? This also goes back to the fact that if we continue to provide assessments to students that can be Googleable or solved by AI, um, that isn't, it's setting us all up for failure. Can students explain AI's capabilities and limitations? Do they understand the bias and ethical implementations? Can they critically evaluate what AI outputs? Can they use tools effectively and appropriately? Can they collaborate with AI while still maintaining their original thinking? Um, and maybe some of that is portfolio approach. I've seen many teachers that when students are using AI, they require students to attach all of their prompts and their correspondence with that AI tool so they can see the thought process the student went through. So maybe they did use it to refine their writing, but they didn't just tell it to fix everything. What did they say? How did that guide that tool to refine the output? Like I said, students just need to understand some of the simple explanations. I am really having a difficult time talking tonight. Um, Analogies, key insights, and important limitations, especially that AI doesn't truly understand. It only recognizes patterns. Um, they need to know how AI tools learn, that they're fed lots and lots of data, and it finds patterns in that data. And really, based upon the patterns, it makes predictions, doesn't always guarantee the right answer, and it always requires humans for checking the accuracy and adjusting any of that output. Um, they can know that AI can be used for good. All around the world, it's being used for environmental purposes, for monitoring ocean health and predicting climate patterns, in medicine and transportation, making cars safer, personalizing learning, helping farmers use resources more effectively. So it's one of those things that it's not going to go away. We can't ignore it. We do understand that there's good and bad with everything, and there can be some really bad with AI. But um, my thought in many ways, if you're using AI responsibly, it can just open up new worlds, maybe solve issues that we would not be able to solve on our own as humans. So, my charge for you is to, in a three-phase plan, maybe choose one literacy activity to pilot with your students. Um, you can go back through some of these ideas this semester. integrate AI discussions into existing lessons. And then hopefully this year be able to develop some comprehensive AI literacy that goes across all of your content areas. I know that Common Sense Media, which has had some great digital citizenship lessons, also has AI lessons for free now for students in grades 6 through 12. And that might be a good starting place if you're like, I don't know where to look. They have some fabulous information there. And, we all need to start someplace and just start small. Have students fact check AI output, any subject. Discuss the bias when students mention YouTube or TikTok recommendations. I hear people all the time saying, I just saw this on TikTok and I went ahead and bought it. You know, who gets that information? What is that data being used for? Do you believe everything that people say when they're rating this tool or this item? And ask students to identify where they encounter AI in their daily lives. Like I said, it's not all good. We do have to understand that there are some problematic AI platforms, Character AI, Replica, Nami.ai. These can be used to simulate inappropriate relationships, and provide harmful responses and advice to students, and lots of concerns with data privacy. So we have to ensure students can realize that. I know Nami.ai tells everyone it's an AI with empathy and compassion, and it's just a tool. But students don't always realize that. We always need to address the information gaps, bias, overdependency, and the privacy risks. So, I'm hoping that this helped provide a better understanding of how we can support our students. Even if they're not using AI themselves, how can we prepare them to be productive and successful in a world where AI is everywhere? So really, this is kind of cheesy, but the future of education is in your hands, and your students need you to help guide them and help them learn. Um, I do have some information for you. So, like I said in the slide deck, the last slide, again, access to this presentation, you're able to share it. There's a link to the Office of AI and Digital Learning website. We've got family guides there. We have guidance. We've got district policy templates, frequently asked questions. There are 2 or 3 courses in OSD Connect related to the use of AI, and you can always email me directly, and I'm glad to talk through ideas or find resources for you. So I'd like to thank you for taking your time to learn a little bit about AI. I'm sure you're feeling